The stars above were still and quiet as Rico walked across the rough ground of Moon 17. He was alone, as always, on his patrol shift. Moon 17 had no people living on it, no animals, no wind, no sound. Just dust and old metal from a forgotten war. Rico did not mind. He liked silence. He liked peace. He walked slowly, his scanner held in his hand. It beeped every few steps. Normal readings. No sign of movement. No heat, no life, no signals. Just like every other patrol shift he had done this month. He looked at the horizon. The sky was black, with stars that never blinked. His boots made soft crunches in the dirt. He stopped and looked at a broken satellite dish that had fallen long ago. It stood like a skeleton, half buried in dust. Rico checked it again. No power, no message. He turned around and started walking back to his small patrol outpost. He had 3 hours left in his shift. But then, without warning, his scanner made a loud sound. A strange glitch blinked on the screen. It flickered with static. Rico frowned and tapped the screen. Still flickering. Then it shut off completely. He looked up. Nothing had changed in the sky. Still stars. Still silence. But the air felt wrong. Not colder. Not warmer. Just different. He turned on his helmet light and looked around carefully. He walked slowly, step by step, toward the direction the scanner had last pointed to. 10 minutes passed. He saw nothing. Then he noticed something on the ground near a group of rocks. A shape, small, not a machine, not a drone. He walked closer. He felt his heart beat faster. It was a body. He rushed forward and dropped to one knee. It was a woman, not human. Her skin was smooth and pale teal. Her hair was long and silver blue, resting across her shoulder. She wore a strange cloth, not like any spacesuit he had ever seen. She was breathing, faint and slow. Her eyes were closed. Rico spoke through his comm, "Can you hear me?" No answer. He touched her wrist. She flinched lightly, then opened her eyes. Her eyes were bright green, almost glowing in the light of his helmet. She looked at him. She was weak, but not afraid. She spoke in a soft voice, barely louder than a whisper. "I saw you in my dream, Her." Eyes closed again. Her head tilted to the side. She had fainted. Rico looked around quickly. Still nothing. Still quiet. He picked her up in his arms. She was light, like she had no weight at all. He started walking back to his outpost, holding her carefully. His scanner was still dead, and now his comms were starting to break, every step. Felt longer than the last. 20 minutes later, Rico reached the outpost. It was a small base with one room, a chair, and a medical bed. He placed the alien woman on the bed and checked her vitals. Still breathing. Heartbeat was low, but steady. He turned on the oxygen supply and placed a small mask near her face. She moved slightly, but did not wake up. Rico sat back and tried to restart the scanner. No luck. He checked the system logs. But something strange had happened. The last 10 minutes of his patrol were missing. Erased. He knew what he had seen. He knew where he had walked. But the logs showed nothing. As if he had never left the outpost, he looked at her again. "Who are you?" he whispered to himself. The room stayed quiet, then the lights flickered. He stood quickly. The power was strong. There was no reason for flickering. But it kept happening. On and off, slow then fast. Then it stopped. He checked the outside cameras. No one there, no movement, no power drops. But the system had a warning: foreign energy detected. He ran a system sweep, but the logs were now scrambled, like something had gone through them and erased parts with care. He looked back at the woman. Her fingers moved. Her eyes opened again. She sat up slowly, eyes on him. "I didn't come here by mistake," she said. Her voice was clearer now. Soft, but steady eye. followed the dream to this moon. I followed it to you. Rico did not understand. What dream? Her eyes studied his face. In my sleep I saw a man in black armor, walking across a dead moon. He looked at me and helped me stand. I saw your face. I knew your name. Rico felt a cold breath pass through him. He had never met this woman. No one from Earth Command had said anything about alien travelers in the zone. She stood up with effort. He moved to help her, but she raised a hand. I am not here to harm you. I am not a soldier. My name is Nira. I come from a world far past your charts. Why are you here? Rico asked. She looked at the ceiling, then back at him. They are coming. I do not know when. I do not know how many, but I know they are searching. Not for Earth, not yet, but for something else. Something connected to you. Rico stared at her. Why me? Because you were the only one who looked back at me in the dream? She sat down again, breathing slow. The power in the room dimmed once more, then came back. Normal Rico stood still, his thoughts racing. He knew protocol. He knew what the rules said. Report, isolate, wait for orders, but he also knew something else. This was no normal patrol shift. He looked at the stars outside the window, and for the first time in a long while, he felt the silence watching him back. Rico stood near the control desk, his eyes on the alien woman resting on the medical bed. The name she gave was still fresh in his mind. Nira. She looked calm now, her breathing normal. Her skin, soft and smooth with a pale teal tone, caught the light of the ceiling lamp. He had never seen someone like her before. She wasn't like the reports of other known alien species. Her body was shaped like a human's, but everything about her felt strange and peaceful at the same time. He kept thinking about her words, about the dream, about something coming, and about him. Why him? He tapped the system screen again. Still no signal from command. His messages were stuck in the outbox. It had been more than an hour since Nira arrived. He tried connecting to the patrol relay. No response. It was like the entire zone had gone quiet behind him. Nira slowly sat up. Her eyes opened, soft green and steady now. You did not leave me outside, she said. Thank you. Rico nodded. You said something about a dream, and about something coming. What did you mean? Nira took a breath, her voice slow and clear. I do not come from your side of the galaxy. My people lived far beyond the edge of your mapped stars, but a shadow came. Not a fleet like yours, not with ships and guns. They use silence, memory. They break minds before they break planets. Rico looked at her with confusion. You mean they attack thoughts? She nodded. They don't fire first. They make you forget you ever had a reason to fight back. Then they come and take what is left. Rico frowned. That sounded impossible. But Nira continued, some of my people escaped. Some of us started having dreams, shared ones. We saw faces, places, names. Not random, not broken, full dreams, like messages. You were in mine, and only yours was clear. Why me? He asked. Again, you have something they fear, she said. Something they cannot erase. He turned away and paced slowly. It didn't make sense. He was just a patrol scout. He had no special rank, no secret mission, no powerful skills. He looked at the wall where a small, blinking red light caught his attention. The outpost scanner had restarted on its own. He checked it, but the data feed was empty, not zero. Just missing, as if someone had erased the history between his patrol, and now he turned to Nira. Did you do something to my scanner? She shook her head. Not me. Them. If they saw me reach you, they might already be trying to cover the path I used. It means they are close. Rico felt tension in his chest. If someone could erase logs without being here, then this was bigger than he thought. We need to move, he said. If they are watching this outpost, we can't stay near us. Stood up with effort, her. Hand on the bed for balance. Where will we go? There's a station in orbit. It's old, but has stronger signal. I can send a full report from there. Maybe get help. She nodded. Then we must go. Now Rico grabbed a small bag, packed emergency rations, med kits, and a backup scanner. He handed Nira a cloak from the storage bin. She wrapped it around herself. It helped hide her features in case they met another patrol. They stepped outside. The moon's surface was still quiet. The sky was dark, stars frozen in place. Rico led her across the rocks toward the shuttle pad. His transport craft sat there, still powered and ready. He checked the systems from his wrist pad. All green as they reached the ramp. Nira stopped. Something's wrong. Rico looked around. He saw nothing. Then a sudden buzz filled the air. High-pitched, sharp, and rising. Rico looked up. A drone. Black and fast, dropping from the sky. It had no markings, no lights, no sound except the deadly buzz. It circled once, then turned toward them. Run, Rico shouted. They jumped behind a metal crate as a blast struck the ground where they had stood. The dirt flew into the air. The drone spun back for another pass. Rico pulled out a pulse pistol from his belt. He waited, aimed, and fired. The first shot missed. The second hit the wing. The drone shook but stayed up behind him. Nira placed her hand on his shoulder. Left angle. 4 steps. Wait 2 seconds. What? He asked. She looked at him with focus. That's what I saw. Rico had no time to question it. He followed her words, moved left. 4 steps. Waited. The drone came in fast. He aimed at the exact point she had said. He fired. The drone exploded mid-air, sparks flying in the dark sky. Its pieces fell like metal snow. Rico looked at Nira. You saw that in your dream? She nodded. It was short, but clear. Rico shook his head. He had no answers for this, but he knew they needed to leave now. They ran up the shuttle ramp. Inside, Rico started the launch sequence. The engines hummed. The ship rose slowly. As they lifted off, Nira looked down at the moon surface. Her voice was quiet again. They know now. They know I found you. They'll send more. Let them come, Rico said. She looked at him. For the first time, she smiled. The stars grew wider in the windows as the shuttle broke free of the moon's pull. In the distance, the orbital station came into view. Rico checked the comms. Still offline. But maybe, just maybe, there was a chance to fix it up there. They had to try because something was coming, and Nira had dreamed of only one man who would stand against it. Rico flew the shuttle through the dark sky, guiding it toward the old station floating above Moon 17. The ship shook lightly as it left the moon's gravity behind. Stars spread out in every direction. Nira sat beside him, quiet but alert. Her eyes watching the space ahead. The old station was not far. It looked like a metal ring with blinking lights, half-working engines, and faded paint. Long ago, it was used by cargo pilots and science teams. Now it floated without any crew. Most patrol. Scouts ignored it, but Rico had visited it once before. He knew its systems were weak, but the signal tower still worked. If connected by hand as the shuttle approached the docking bay, Rico sent the code. The doors opened with a slow drag. The airlock lights blinked, then turned green. He landed the shuttle inside the hangar and shut the engine. Both stepped out quickly. Rico kept his pulse pistol ready. Nira walked beside him without fear, her silver blue hair brushing her shoulders. The hangar was cold. Lights flickered on and off. Dust floated in the air like mist. We need to reach the core room, Rico said. That's where the signal relay is. He led her through a narrow hallway. Broken screens lined the walls. Old crates sat in the corners. They moved fast, boots echoing in the silence. Nira stopped at one corner and touched the wall. "Something passed through here," she whispered. Rico looked around. He saw no marks, no machines, no tracks. But he didn't argue, not after what happened with the drone. He moved slower, checking corners before turning. They reached the elevator, but the panel was dead powers out, Rico said. "We climb, they." Found the ladder nearby and started up. Nira moved easily, even though she was weak earlier. Rico noticed it, but said nothing. At the top, the door to the relay room was stuck. Rico used his tool to cut the lock open. The door slid halfway, just enough to crawl through. Inside the room, the relay tower stood in the center, tall and silver, with blinking red lights. The control panel showed static, but the core was still warm. He moved to the panel and connected his wrist pad. "Come on," he muttered. "Just give me one working signal." Nira walked slowly around the room, her fingers brushing the walls. She stopped at a screen that showed a spinning symbol. "What's this?" she asked. Rico looked at it. "That's the auto log. It tracks ship arrivals." Why, Nira stepped back. The screen blinked again and showed something strange. Arrival. Unknown ship time. 2 minutes ago, Rico turned quickly. "That's not possible. We're the only ones here." He checked the hangar feed. A new ship had entered. No ID, no signal. The airlock was open. He stood up fast. "We're not alone." He pulled his pistol and moved to the hallway. Nira followed without a word as they stepped out. The lights turned red. Security lockdown activated. Unknown life form detected. That wasn't Rico's doing. He checked the panel beside the door. The system was being controlled from another room. Someone was inside already. "Back to the shuttle," he said. But before they could move, a sharp sound echoed through the hall. A hiss. Then a strange hum. Nira grabbed Rico's arm and pulled him back. "That's not a normal sound," she said. "That's them." From the far end of the hallway, a shape appeared. Tall, thin, with arms too long for a person. Its head was smooth with no eyes, no mouth. It moved without steps, floating just above the ground. Rico raised his pistol and fired. The pulse blast hit its chest, but the shape didn't stop. It shimmered like smoke and reformed. "Run," Nira shouted. They turned and ran down the hallway. The creature followed without sound. They reached the ladder and climbed down fast in the hangar. The shuttle lights were still on. Rico opened the ramp. As they reached it, another shadow dropped from above. This one landed between them and the ship. Rico aimed and shot again. This time, the blast caused the figure to pause. Nira stepped forward and spoke in a sharp tone, using a language Rico didn't. "No." The shadow twitched and turned its head slightly. Nira placed her hand on the wall and whispered something. The wall panel blinked. A wave of light moved across the hangar, and the second shadow dissolved into dust. "How did you do that?" Rico asked. "This station still remembers part of my people's signal. It allowed me to push them back. But not for long. We have to go now." They ran up the ramp. Rico started the engine. The first shadow was still coming through the hallway, slower this time. The shuttle lifted off as the hangar doors opened. In seconds, they were back in space, flying fast toward the edge of the system. Rico breathed hard, hands tight on the controls. "What were those things?" he asked. Nira sat beside him, eyes focused. "They are scouts, memory breakers. They find those who carry resistance. They erase their past and trap their mind. If we had stayed longer, you would have forgotten who I was. You would forget everything." Rico looked at her. "Then why didn't they do it already?" "Because your memory fights back. That's why I saw you. That's why you are important." The ship moved into safe range. Rico checked the map. "There's one place we can go. An archive station from the old war. It's far, but still hidden. If anyone knows about these things, it will be there." Nira gave a small nod yes. That place will help us understand why they fear. Yuriko set the course. The stars began to stretch as the ship entered deep jump mode. The danger was not over, but the escape had bought them time, and time was the one thing they needed most. Rico leaned back in the pilot's seat as the ship moved through jump space. The stars outside had turned into streaks of light. The engines hummed softly. The path was long but smooth. Nira sat beside him, eyes closed, breathing slow. She had not spoken much since they escaped the orbital station. Rico looked at her for a moment. She seemed calm now, but he could tell she was thinking deeply. Her face was peaceful, yet filled with something unspoken. He knew she had more answers, but also more questions than him. He tapped the screen on his console. A map appeared. The red marker blinked at their target. The old archive station. It had been used during the early days of the Earth Alliance, when humans were still exploring the first alien systems. Rico had only heard stories. It was hidden in an asteroid field and left unused for decades. Command said it held records that were too old or strange to decode. Most people ignored it, but maybe that was why it was the right place. Now Rico turned. To Nira, "We'll be there in 15 minutes, she opened her eyes. Good. We must find the record room. If it still holds data from your early alliance, I believe I will find what I'm looking for." "What are you looking for?" he asked. "Proof," she said. "Something that links you to the dream path. Something the shadow can't erase." He nodded. He still didn't fully understand what the dream path meant, but he knew it was real now. He had seen the creatures, felt their power, and he remembered the moment Nira had reached for him in the dust. They broke out of jump space near the asteroid belt. Rocks floated in every direction, spinning slowly under the weak pull of an old gravity net. The archive station was deep inside, surrounded by silent debris. It looked like a giant box with rings wrapped around it, dark gray, with small blinking lights still working after all this time. Its docking gate was sealed. Rico sent the access code. It took a moment, then the old door opened. A yellow light blinked above it. They entered carefully. The station was cold and quiet. Power was weak, but stable. They walked into a long hallway filled with metal crates and old screens. Dust floated in the air like snow. Rico used his wrist pad to guide them to the center of the station. That was where the core room was built. Nira walked beside him in silence, her hand brushing against the walls as if she could feel the station's memories. After some turns, they reached a large chamber. In the center stood a tall glass tube filled with blue lights. Around it were hundreds of memory cores stacked in rows. "This is it," Rico said. "The data archive." Nira stepped forward and placed her hand on the glass. The lights inside flickered. The machine responded to her touch. She whispered something in her language. A low hum filled the room. The core opened a panel, revealing an old control screen. Nira looked through the files quickly. Her fingers moved fast, skipping through pages of text and symbols. "These are dream records," she said. "This part of your history was locked away. Someone tried to keep this hidden from your people." Rico stepped closer. "What does it say?" She pointed to one file. It showed a picture of a group of humans sitting in a circle with strange headsets. Symbols floated above them. "This was a project from your early days in space. They called it Dream Echo. They were trying to connect human minds to space signals. They believed some minds could reach beyond the stars, past what machines could hear." "That sounds like science fiction," Rico said. "It is not fiction," she answered. "One of those minds had the same mark as you." She tapped the screen. A small symbol appeared. A wave with a circle in the center. Rico felt something when he saw it. Not memory, but something deeper, like he had seen it in a dream long ago. Nira continued. "The project was stopped, but not because it failed. It was stopped because someone erased all results, like they wanted to hide what was found. But here, in this archive, the copies survived." She opened another file. This one showed a map. A line led from Earth to a place far beyond the known sectors. At the end of the line was a single word, Haven. "That's not on any chart," Rico said. "It was one of our homeworlds," she said. "Long gone now. But back then, your people heard our signals. They didn't know what they were. But someone among them," Rico looked at her. "And you think that someone is connected to me?" "Yes," she said. "You carry the pattern. You hear what others ignore. That's why I saw you. That's why the shadow fears." Suddenly the room lights dimmed. The screen flickered. A warning appeared, unknown signal, detected, corrupted memory approaching. Rico raised his pistol. Nira stepped back from the console. "They found us again," she said. "We must go." Rico grabbed a few of the memory chips from the core. "Can we take this data?" "Only parts of it," she said. "The full system is too large to move, but what you took will help us." They ran back through the hallway. The shadows had not entered yet, but the red lights were turning on. The station was warning them. They reached the dock. The shuttle was still there. As they entered, a strange chill passed through the air. Rico felt something press against his mind for a second, like a hand trying to twist his thoughts. He focused hard on one thing: Nira reaching out for him in the dust. That moment held him steady. The feeling passed. They launched from the station. Behind them, one section of the archive turned black. Shadows were consuming the files. Rico set a new course. "Where now?" he asked. "To my homeworld," Nira said. "What is left of it? That's where we will find the final truth." Rico looked at the stars ahead. This was more than a mission now. He was part of something old, something buried, and the only way forward was through the past. The journey to Nira's homeworld took time. The ship moved through deep space, far beyond the edge of human-charted territory. Rico sat in the pilot's seat while Nira remained near the observation window, watching the stars pass. She had not said much since they left the archive station. Rico understood. They were going back to a place that once held her life, her people, her past. The memory chips from the archive were stored safely in a small container under the control panel. Rico had not opened them again. He did not need to. He had seen enough. He now believed her. He believed the dreams were real. The shadow was real. And somehow, he had a role in it. After 3 long jumps and 2 short stops for refuel, they reached the edge of a dying system. The central sun was weak and red. 3 planets orbited it, but only one showed signs of past life. That was Nira's world. "There it is," she said softly. The planet below looked cracked and dark. Clouds hung thick over its surface. Broken towers reached from ruined cities. Fires burned in some places, though there was no sign of warships now. Just silence. "This place is called Eleanor," she said. "It was once beautiful. Rivers, gardens, lights in the sky. Now it is broken." Rico looked at the surface scan. Pockets of underground heat still existed. Maybe some life had survived. "Are there still people here?" he asked some. Nira replied, "My people do not give up easily, but they hide now deep below the ground. The shadow comes in waves. The first wave takes the cities. The second takes the mines. Those who stay too long forget why they are alive." He nodded and guided the ship toward one of the deep energy spots on the map. As they entered the atmosphere, the sky turned dark. Thick clouds pressed against the ship's windows. Lightning flashed in the distance. The wind screamed across the broken towers below. The ship landed in a narrow canyon, shielded by sharp stone walls. Old signs written in symbols Rico could not read were carved on the rocks. Nira opened the door and stepped out. Her feet touched the cracked earth. "This place still remembers," she said. Rico followed her, staying close. The air was heavy but breathable. The ground was dry and broken, with black ash covering the surface. They walked through the canyon until they reached a large stone door hidden behind thick vines and dust. Nira placed her hand on a smooth mark at the center. The stone glowed faintly and then opened inward. A soft light came from inside. Warm, golden, and alive, they entered a large underground hall. Dozens of people stood along the walls, pale skin, like Nira, silver blue hair, eyes that shone with quiet fire. When they saw her, they stepped forward. Nira, one elder, spoke. "You came back," she nodded. "This is Rico. He helped me escape the shadow. He carries the pattern. The one from the dream." People looked at Rico with calm interest. No fear, no anger, just hope. The elder stepped closer. Then we were right to wait. They led Rico and Nira deeper into the hall. The path opened into a round chamber filled with glowing stones and old machines. A large wall screen showed maps of star systems and signals. Moving through space, Nira turned to Rico. "This is the heart room. It holds the last memory of our world before the fall. We keep it safe so we do not forget who we are." The elder walked to the screen and pressed a button. A new map appeared. It showed hundreds of red dots spreading across the galaxy. "These are the paths of the shadow," he said. "It does not use ships like yours. It moves through memory, through thought. It reaches from mind to mind, planet to planet. It erases history, names, places. Then it sends its collectors. Once memory is lost, people cannot fight." Rico stepped closer. "Why haven't they destroyed this place yet?" The elder answered, "Because of the pattern. Your pattern. It weakens their hold. As long as one person remembers the truth, the shadow cannot." "Fully claim this world," Nira looked at Rico. "That's why I saw you. The dream was not only mine, it was sent by the heart. It reached beyond space to find someone strong enough to carry memory that cannot be broken." Rico looked at the glowing wall. His chest felt heavy, but not in fear. It was something else. "Responsibility. What do we do now?" he asked. The elder pointed to the center of the chamber. A small machine stood there, shaped like a star with 6 arms. A clear pod at the center glowed faintly. "This is the Keeper Core," said the elder. "It can awaken the full dream. Not just visions, but true memory. If you link with it, your mind will show us the next path. But it is not safe. If the shadow senses your connection, it will attack your mind. You must be ready to face it." Rico looked at Nira. She gave a calm nod. "We'll stay with you. You are not alone." Rico walked to the core. He placed his hand on the top. The machine blinked, then opened a seat shaped for one person. He sat down. The chamber darkened. The machine began to glow. Lights moved through the walls. A low hum filled the room. Rico's eyes closed, and the dream began. He saw stars spinning fast. He saw faces of people he did not know. He saw hands reaching, voices calling his name. He saw fire, water, sky, and shadow. He saw Nira as a child, standing beside a river. He saw her cry when the sky turned black. He saw her running through smoke, holding a small box. Then he saw himself standing in a ruined place, holding light in one hand and memory in the other. The shadow came toward him. But he did not step back. Stepped forward. Rico opened his eyes. The chamber lights returned. Nira stood close, holding his hand. "What did you see?" she asked. He stood up slowly. "A signal. A place beyond both our worlds. Something hidden. Something they fear. We have to go there next." The elder nodded. "Then your path is clear. And our hope remains," Rico looked at the stars on the wall. He no longer felt lost. He was ready to fight for memory. Rico stood in the center of the heart room, his mind still recovering from the vision. The others watched him with quiet eyes. Nira stayed close, her hand resting gently on his shoulder. The Keeper Core behind him had dimmed, but its purpose was clear now. It had shown him the next part of the path. "We saw it too," the elder said. "The signal you saw is real. Long ago, before the fall, our ancestors hid a weapon there. Not a weapon made of fire or steel, a weapon made from light and thought. One that can stop the shadow, but it cannot be used by one person, Nira added. It needs two dreamers, two minds linked through memory. One to guide the dream, and one to hold the lock. Rico looked at her. And we are the ones. She nodded. That's why I saw you. That's why I found you. The others began to prepare the chamber for the dream link. They placed 2 seats in the center, facing each other. Soft light filled the space as the memory stones were activated. Nira sat in one seat. Rico took the other. Once you enter the dream, the elder explained, your minds will connect. You must guide each other through the dream world. The shadow may try to enter. You must not listen to its voice. You must hold on to the truth. The truth is, your shield. Rico closed his eyes. He focused on one memory. The first time he saw Nira, lying in the dust on Moon 17. The moment she said, I saw you in my dream, the chamber faded away. The hum of the memory stones grew louder. A soft pull reached through Rico's thoughts. He felt himself drifting. Then the dream opened. He stood in a wide field filled with glowing flowers. The sky above was not dark, but soft and silver, like it was painted. Nira stood ahead, her back to him. She turned and smiled. We are inside the lock, she said. This is the outer layer. Safe for now, Rico looked around. The place felt calm. But something moved at the edge of the field. A dark ripple in the air. The shadow is already looking for us, Nira said. We must move quickly. They walked together across the field. As they moved, the ground changed. The flowers faded. Trees grew tall and thick. Rico began to see shapes between the trunks. Memories. His childhood, his first mission, his long nights in the patrol station, all floating like ghosts. Nira reached out and touched one. Your mind is full of silence, she said, but not empty, just waiting to wake up. Suddenly, the air cracked. A voice echoed across the sky. You are lost. You are alone. You cannot win. Rico held his head. The voice pulled at him, trying to change his thoughts. But Nira stepped in front of him. That voice is not yours, she said. It belongs to the shadow. Push it away. Rico focused again. He pictured the first time he fired his pulse pistol, the first time he stood on the surface of Moon 17 and saw the stars above. He remembered his promise to help her. The voice faded. They moved deeper into the dream. Now they reached the center. A large gate stood before them. It was made of glowing symbols. The keeper weapon was inside, but the gate was locked by memory. Nira placed her hand on one side. The lights blinked. Now you, she said. Rico stepped forward and placed his hand beside hers. The lights turned white. The gate began to open, but then the shadow entered. The dream around them cracked like glass. Black mist poured in from every corner. The trees fell. The sky turned dark. The gate began to close. A shape formed in front of them. It looked like Rico. Same face, same clothes, but empty eyes. Give me the key, it said. Let go of her. She is not real. She is only a dream. Rico stepped back. His thoughts felt weak. Nira shouted, Don't listen. You must trust the memory. The fake Rico stepped closer. You are not a hero. You are not chosen. You were just at the wrong place. None of this matters. Rico closed his eyes. He searched for one clear memory. Not from his past, from the present. He saw Nira holding his hand on the shuttle. He saw her walking beside him on the broken planet. He saw her smile in the chamber that was real. He opened his eyes. You're wrong, he said to the shadow. He stepped forward and reached for Nira's hand. Their fingers touched. The light returned. The gate opened fully. Inside was a single orb, floating in a beam of golden light. The keeper. Weapon Nira stepped toward it. She touched the orb. It floated between them. "Now the weapon knows us," she said. "It is ready." The dream faded. Rico woke up slowly. The chamber lights were soft again. Nira opened her eyes at the same time. They both stood up. The elder approached with, "A calm smile, you have unlocked it. The weapon has accepted your bond." Rico looked at the machine. The orb now hovered in the center. "Glowing with new light, it can now be activated," the elder said. "But once it is used, the shadow will feel it. It will come with full force. You must be ready to face what follows." Rico nodded. "Let them come." "We're ready now." Nira looked at him with quiet strength. "The shadow took my world, but it will not take yours. Not while we still dream." Rico placed the orb into the core slot on his wrist gear. The light pulsed gently. It felt warm. "We fight with memory now," he said, "not with fear." Outside the chamber, the others waited. Some looked afraid. Others looked hopeful. The war was not over, but now they had a weapon the shadow could not touch. The dream had become real. Rico and Nira stood on the surface of Elionar once again. The broken planet seemed quieter now, but the danger was far from over. The keeper weapon glowed softly on Rico's wrist, a light in the darkness. Around them, the remaining people of Nira's world prepared for the final battle. They were ready to fight for their memories, for their future. Rico looked at Nira. Her eyes shone with determination. She was no longer just the woman he had found on Moon 17. She was a leader, a dreamer, a warrior, and he was ready to stand beside her. The sky darkened as the shadow's forces approached. They came without ships or weapons. They moved as whispers in the air, shadows slipping through walls and mines. The creatures were many, their shapes twisted and shifted, impossible to hold in one form. Rico held the keeper weapon tightly. The light pulsed with his heartbeat. He could feel its power growing. It was not a weapon to destroy with fire, but with memory. It gave strength to those who remembered. It fought the shadow by restoring what was lost. The first wave of shadows reached the city. They moved like mist, entering homes and minds. People gasped as old memories returned, forgotten faces and names flooding back. The shadow's power was strong, but the keeper weapon pushed it away. It created a shield of light. Around those who carried it, Nira raised her voice, calling the people to stand. Together, they formed a circle around the heart room. The memories flowed like a river, strong and unbreakable. The shadow faltered. It hissed and shrank back into the dark corners, but it was not gone. Rico saw a large shape appear near the horizon, the shadow's leader. It was taller and darker than the others. Its eyes glowed red, burning with anger. It spoke without words, sending a wave of cold through the air. The people trembled, but Rico and Nira stood firm. They held the keeper weapon high. The leader stepped forward. Its voice filled Rico's mind. "You cannot win. Memory is weak. You will forget." As all de Rico's mind reached for a strong memory. He saw the first time he met Nira lying weak on the moon, the moment she said she had dreamed of him. He remembered the promise he made to save her. He remembered the hope in her eyes. "I remember," he said, "and I will not forget." The keeper weapon shone brightly. Light spread across the land like a wave. The shadow screamed and faltered. Its shape began to break apart. But before it disappeared, it reached out to Rico's mind one last time. It tried to pull him into darkness, to erase the memories that gave him strength. Nira stepped forward. She placed her hand on Rico's chest. A warm glow passed between them. Their minds connected through the dream link. Together, they pushed. Back the shadow's pull. The leader fell apart, broken by the light of memory. The shadow's forces fled into the darkness. The sky grew lighter. The broken planet seemed to breathe again. Rico looked at Nira and smiled. They had won this battle. But the war was far from over. Nira nodded. There are other worlds the shadow seeks, other memories to destroy. We must be. Ready Rico felt a new strength inside him. He was no longer just a patrol scout. He was a guardian of memory, a dreamer who would fight against the shadow wherever it appeared. The people of Eleanar gathered around them, hope shining in their eyes. They had survived the darkness. They had remembered who they were. Rico looked up at the stars. The night sky was full of light now. The future was uncertain, but they would face it together. The dream was not over. It had only just begun.